everyone, Day here, and welcome back to my Let's Play of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. In the last episode, I did insanely poorly with my guesswork. I just refused to let go of the fact that I assumed Mr. Windybank was not killed in the storeroom, but on the store floor. And it was like so obvious because we all witnessed it that Eggbert Benedict had sliced his finger. So obviously the disc with the blood on it, it just all correlated together. And I took forever to even get to that point. I want to say that I was already thinking it, which is why when it gets to that point, I'm just kind of going through the guesswork easily. But I never voiced it out loud, which was frustrating to watch secondhand. So anyways, we're just gonna hop back into it. Iris, at this point, offered a very good, well, not just a good suggestion, but the judge did put a temporary freeze on our summation examination. So the judge realizes this. Von Zieks also realizes this. So this is what we're going to be doing at the current present, is finishing up our summation examination and possibly trying, well, hopefully it works out, because otherwise, guilty for Gina, but anyways.
Young lady, you have quite the devious mind.
It really just comes down to one thing. Whether these ladies and gentlemen of the jury are convinced by what you say, Reno. Is that about right, would you say? Or did I misunderstand something?
It's about right to me. Unbelievable!
Mr. Sholmes' partner is a force to be reckoned with.
Iris Wilson, sharpshooter.
I like it. That's a cute title.
To that shrewd precis of the situation from an entirely unexpected source, it must be acknowledged that the previous summation examination has yet to reach its conclusion. This is absurd. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury,
I like how the judge just ignores Von Zieks.
The court now looks to you for your final leanings in this matter. As proud citizens of Her Majesty's Britain, I'm sure you will come to fair and just conclusions.
Except the last juror.
So then, state your final decisions in turn, please.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
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 Not guilty.
Interesting. I love juror number 4. Him slamming his forehead down like that is just classic.
2 call guilty, and 4 call not guilty. Such is the outcome of the summation examination.
Objection.
My lord, with all due respect, this is an outrage. The prosecution refuses to accept this decision. On what grounds? If these jurors are persuaded by some half-baked concoction devised by a pretender to real police work, then they are too ignorant to be trusted with the judgment of anyone's guilt.
Jeepers, Von Zieks. I know that's right, Judge.
I'm sorry, Lord Von Zieks, but the outcome of the summation examination cannot be ignored. This trial will continue. Ugh. Ah! Nevertheless, we find ourselves in a rather awkward situation. The defense has very reasonably requested the subpoena of a new witness. But sadly, I feel that would be impossible
Because that's not his real name. You cannot find someone who gave you an alias.
What? The name the gentleman gave for himself, Eggbert Benedict, is clearly quite false.
Yes. Eglin's Best was never going to be this guy's name. If you look at at least this is how I kind of like judged it personally. When you look at everyone's name within this game, unlike other Ace Attorney games where everyone's name was like a pun of some sort, this guy's name, I want to say, is like the only name that clearly looks punish. So therefore, it was obviously fake. I don't believe it. Just when I managed to prove the man was there that night, Could I say something? I have no idea who this is.
Who was that, please? Who spoke?
Oh, juror number 5? The one that declared guilty. Interesting.
It was me, my lord.
Juror number 5?
What have you to say, madame? If possible, Inspector.
Eh?
Me, ma'am.
I wonder if you might show the photographic print to me again. The one in which the gentleman is shown.
Ah, right, yes. This one, you mean, of Mr. Benedict.
He probably didn't realize the camera was there. I highly doubt he would have wanted to be photographed. If she says she knows him, how? What's your name, Mrs.?
Yes. There's no doubt in my mind.
Juror number 5, you don't mean to say you know this man?
Yes, I know him.
What?
No! Good gracious!
Everyone knows everyone. This is not by coincidence. This is even more so not by coincidence.
Order! Order! Order!
Like, what are the chances?
Juror number 5! How on earth?
How on earth, indeed. This almost reminds me of when I was at work at the amusement park. I was dealing with someone who could not speak English, and I want to say that they were speaking German, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't help you. I'm sorry. And then, like, miracle of miracles, someone that spoke both English and German was like, I could speak German. I'm like, what? What are the chances? But yeah, that just reminds me of that.
I am a communications officer. Stop.
She is a communications officer. As we can clearly see.
The gentleman in the photograph is... Stop. Also a communications officer. Stop. He works in my office. Stop.
That dude is a communications officer? I'm sorry, but I never in a gabillion years would have guessed that, like, at all. He just seems a little bit more like... Okay, I don't think that he is the ringleader, because he was given the paper, right? That led him to the pawn shop. Yes, correct. So there is someone even over him, which I want to say is McGilded. I know I will not let him fully die. McGilded is probably still alive out here somewhere in this game world.
A very talented operator, in fact. Stop. You should be in the communication station now. Stop. Tap it away on the telegraph. Stop.
This doesn't seem right somehow. I can't put my finger on why, but it doesn't feel right. Interesting, Ryanosuke. Very, very interesting. I don't want to do what I did last episode where I was on the wrong train of thought. But I can't figure this piece out fully. Like, maybe what he's gathering right now, especially since she voted... Because she voted guilty, right? She might be in cahoots. I don't know. I don't know.
I suppose we all imagine the accomplice will be some sort of hardened criminal.
No, that's what I'm saying. The guy doesn't feel like a communications officer. But, I mean, I really don't have anything more. I really, at this point, even after rewatching old footage, I don't think there is anything that gives away his true identity.
It's a bit unexpected to find out that he has a reputable job by day. Whatever he gets up at night.
Whatever he gets up to at night. Yes, I suppose that's it. I suppose that's why I felt something was wrong. I don't know. I mean, she's probably on the right track for why you're thinking that, but in a wrong sort of way. Like, I don't think that's his real job description. And that's probably why Ryunosuke is saying something doesn't feel right. But if that's the case, that means the lady, the juror, is lying, right? Juror number 5 would be a liar if he is not truly a communications officer. That puts her under scrutiny.
If the gentleman is at London's communication station, we should be able to subpoena him within the hour.
If that's the case, though, that means that he will have wanted to be pulled in here, which means that he probably did know about the camera. I have no idea.
Lord Van Zeeks, if you please. Yes, my lord. Make the necessary arrangements with all haste, as your lordship bids. The court will recess for 1 hour. When a new witness arrives, we shall reconvene to hear the gentleman's testimony. Inspector Gregson. Yes, my lord. I should like to hear from you specifically about events at the pawnbrokery on the day in question. Come to my chambers during the recess. Yes, sir, my lord.
Trying to figure out what Susato knew too, because her and Sholmes were cooking up something before she officially left. I don't fully remember how that conversation progressed, but they were definitely speaking to each other, and I want to say he said something was close or something like that. I don't really fully know anymore.
Very well, court is adjourned until 1:40 p.m.
So that makes it 12:40 p.m., correct? An hour? To be continued. Dun-dun-dun. Yeah. I don't think the guy's a communications officer. But this just makes juror number 5 sus. Guess time will tell. It's only been 11 minutes and that actually threw me for a bit of a ballot toss. 17th April, 12:41 p.m. The Old Bailey Defendant's Antechamber. Ah, Gina, how are you holding up? I'm starting to feel quite warmly towards her frequent cold shoulders now.
Jenny, are you alright? Aren't you saying anything?
What's the point? Wait, what's the point, eh? Why go to all this trouble and fight so hard for the likes of me?
What? Well, you saw it. That picture.
What picture?
Ah, you mean this? Photograph taken by Hurley's red-headed recorder? Well, I didn't think it would have captured a scene like this, that's for sure. It's hopeless. Anyone who says that's going to think God did it, ain't they?
Well, I won't pretend it wasn't a bit of a shock when the prosecution first presented it to the court.
Surely you've got to have your doubts about me now. Can't still think I'm innocent.
Wow, I'm really butchering her voice right now. Of course I can.
Jenny, why don't you talk to us? Tell us what really happened that night. Hey! Bruno's cleverly managed to paste together a lot of new information, but still.
Okay. Theory time. I actually forgot to do this when I started the video because there were some thoughts I had after rewatching the last episode. So, and obviously these are just my theories and not truly what I think could be happening, but anyways, whatever. So, my first theory was that due to Sholmes's vial or whatever was in there, it could have been like some kind of sleeping agent. So it caused both of them to pass out. The only thing that I found kind of wishy-washy about that thought process is that nobody else fell asleep. So that kind of debunked that one a little bit. And then there was also the theory of, okay, so obviously the way I'm seeing it, the way I see the picture being painted is that Mr. Eglin's Best shot Wendy Banks. right? Wendy Banks' gun shot him, Eglin, and then the duo shot Sholmes. I just want to make sure I'm saying that correctly. And because I also kind of switched them around a little bit, in that the brothers actually shot Wendy Banks, and wait, no, yeah, that was it. And then Wendy Banks' gun shot Egg. Mm-hmm. And then like, I don't want to keep calling him Eglin's best, but it's just always in my head now. And then is this the right pattern? So brothers might have accidentally shot their own guy. But I highly doubt that happened. But since there was 3 bullets, and we know that at this point, most likely the green bloodstain is definitely 100%, without a doubt, Egbert's.
We'd really like to hear it from you.
Alright then.
It was after we'd had dinner together at your place, right, Iris? Then we all had a jet up in your office, didn't we?
Yes, I remember.
It feels so long ago now. After that, I just couldn't sleep. So I slipped out and went down the street.
Wait. Oh, that was right.
To the 2-1, to Winterbank's place. I had to know.
If Iris' story was there or not, the Hound of the Baskervilles.
I don't know what it's about or nothing. But if you ask me, there's something in it that Sholmes don't like. Something what he don't want people reading. So that's why he lied to Iris about sticking it in the log with Winterbank for safekeeping. At least, that's what I thought at the time.
So you broke into Wendy Banks?
I had to know if it was there or not. I mean, I had no idea or that was going to kick off, did I?
No.
I shrugged the lock and snuck inside. It was dark as you like in there. So I gave the oil lamp on the counter a bit of a wick. And that's when...
What do you think you're doing?
Ah! I nearly died. I did. And next thing I knew, I'd grabbed the gun off the counter and was waving it in the air like, I don't know what.
Ah, you're the girl who was in here this afternoon. I didn't think pickpockets went in for armed robbery.
The mental script. Have you got it here?
Did Sholmes leave a load of papers with you? A story? I beg your pardon.
The Hound of the something or other. If it's it, I want to see it.
I'm sorry, young lady, but I'd sooner die than relinquish an article belonging to one of my customers.
I didn't want it. What would I do with it anyway? I just want to see it here. That's all.
Oh, you want to see it, do you?
I want to know if Sholmes really pawned it here or not. Please, just let me see it and I'll go.
Oh, very well then. But for pity's sake, stop waving my gun around, would you?
So then, the old gove and locked the storeroom door, and we both went inside.
Okay, this actually all makes sense. So I guess at some point she gave him the gun. And I figured the reason she ended up with the gun again was for self-defense reasons. After she saw Wendy Banks fall down on the ground and he most likely relinquished the gun at that point, she picked it up, locked the door to the storeroom, and held it close to her for protection. Which will make sense. If I was in that situation, someone just shot someone right dead in front of me, so I would do the same.
And it was there, alright. The manuscript. Chums weren't lying at the road. You did all that? Oh. You did all that just to check for me, Jenny? Anyway.
She doesn't like being called a softie, eh?
Didn't there was a bit of a kick-up out in the main bit over the shop?
The Skulkin brothers arriving on the scene. Yes.
What was that noise? Someone's breaking in.
Dear me. Is there some burglars convention here tonight that I don't know about?
I think I forgot to shut... Oh, Gina. Oh, I think I forgot to shut the door behind me. Sorry.
Better go and take care of it. Could I possibly have my gun back?
Oh, but I'll come with you. And...
Now don't be foolish, young girl. You must stay right here. Don't leave this room under any circumstances.
Wendy Banks was a very good man. Like, I mean, the only reason he always threatened himself was because he just felt so strongly about what he did here. And that's protecting people's things that they left in his care, right?
And with that, he took the gun out of my hands and walked back out into the shop. I hung back in the storeroom like he said, shredding my ears in the dark to hear what was going on. It sounded like they got into a bit of a scrap. I started to think I should help, you see. So I was just about to go out on the storeroom myself when...
2 gunshots.
I heard a couple of shots go off. 2, I think. Almost at the same time.
So Wendy Banks shot... She sat out in the storeroom. That's interesting. Because now this still makes the blue blood sus, like I was thinking. At least at the current present. I don't know. I think the only reason, because I don't think I explained it very well in the last episode, the only reason I find the blue blood to be weird, and it's not fully weird, it's just that, where did the bullet go? That's it. Like, we never retrieved a bullet, right? And it obviously went in through his back and out through the front. But unlike the bullet that's stuck in the calendar, we don't have a bullet retrieved from him. Okay, I read that one.
And then there he was, at me feet, lying flat, face down on the floor. I was right next to the storeroom door, so I slammed it shut and locked it quick as you like.
Because you thought whoever had shot Mr. Windybank might come for you.
Yeah. So I went to grab the old gov's glove. I figured I'd put up a fight at least.
Yeah. I kind of figured that part out.
But when I got a better look at him, I knew. Windybank was a goner.
Poor guy.
I felt funny in my head all of a sudden, kind of dizzy. And after that, I didn't remember nothing.
Like, actually realizing the guy just died right in front of her, that would make me pass out too. That must be when you passed out, Gina.
If I hadn't done what I done, the old gove might still be alive.
Did you tell the police everything you just told us?
Of course I did, but they didn't believe a word of it, did they? All they said was if I kept telling lies, it'd make things even worse for me.
It'll be alright, Jenny. Don't worry. Just stay strong a little longer. Renner's about to put the royal culprit through the mill.
Hopefully.
That gove, what was that in the other room? That Eggbert Benedict? I still remember how he looked at me, like I was nothing. He was there that night.
We don't know his real name yet, but I'm convinced that he's involved somehow. You're convinced he's involved somehow? Like, guy his name was written all over everything from the beginning. I know for sure I mentioned, like, few episodes, maybe prior, a long time ago, that the brothers were definitely in cahoots with this guy, but
Anyway, thank you for telling us what happened, Gina. I appreciate your honesty.
You what?
You can leave it all in Runo's capable hands now, Jenny.
Mr. Naruhodo,
Yes?
how come you trust me? I don't get it. I mean, have you forgotten what happened before? Come on, it was only 2 months ago. Me and McGilded, we told you a whole pack of lies. And you got the Begada off with him, even though he was the killer.
No. I could never forget that.
Or,
I did what I thought was best at the time. The pain of that era of judgment doesn't get any easier to bear. Still, don't forget that I also made you a promise. I told you that I'd be on your side to the bitter end, no matter what.
but what if I'm lying? You could be working to get another killer off the hook for all you know.
I was once in your position, Gina. I was the accused in a trial.
You know what?
Before I left Japan, I was accused of murder. And strange as it might sound, the circumstances of the crime were pretty damning. I was sure that no one would believe it wasn't me who done it.
Oh, Runo.
There was one person who stood up for me, Asogi, who believed in me and was prepared to defend me. My best friend.
Asogi!
Ryunosuke, no one believes in you more than I do. Leave this to me. All you need to do is put your faith in me, and I'll do the rest. I was so happy. I cried. But even then, somewhere inside me, I couldn't help thinking, surely, he doesn't really believe in me. Not completely. But I was wrong. As soon as my trial began, it was obvious that he had an absolute, unwavering belief in me. And in turn, I developed an absolute, unwavering belief in him. Since then, I came to realize I don't think we've ever seen Gina standing like posture forward like this. If you want someone to believe in you, you have to believe in the other person first.
What are you saying?
I promise you, Gina, that no matter what happens, I'll keep believing in you. So you don't need to worry. I won't let you down.
Even though I'm a diver and a no good liar.
You're not like McGilded. I know that.
Eh?
That's right. You're a friend, Jenny.
Arius!
We know you better than you think. And we've come to the conclusion that you're someone we can trust.
Yes,
That's really all we need to know.
exactly.
Mr. Naruhodo, I...
Defendant Gina Lestrade and her legal representative. Court proceedings are about to resume. Please head into the courtroom immediately. Yes, of course. Thank you. I'd been both a defendant and a defending lawyer in my time, so I knew only too well just how hard it was to put all your faith in another. And I also knew just how hard it was to bear the burden of another, putting all their faith in you. This is it at last. The final chapter. The final battle. So this must be the last case of this game. Wish me luck, Susato-san. And I hope you're watching over me too, partner. I just hate that Susato couldn't finish this trial with us.
17th April, 1:41 p.m. The Old Bailey courtroom. I'm just assuming that they wanted Iris to be with us for this.
I hereby call this court to order as we resume the trial of Miss Gina Lestrade. Lord Von Zeeks, have you successfully subpoenaed the witness? The subpoena was delivered to the communication station where the man works immediately, my lord. However, the heavy rain has delayed the arrival of his carriage, it would seem. I see.
I hope he's not plotting.
Then let us turn our attention to Inspector Gregson's presses of the case heard by the court this morning. The glaring omission of the third bullet in your report is a serious blunder, Inspector. Yes, I can only apologize, my lord. And although the defense's chemical analysis of the blood at the scene makes for a compelling argument, I cannot permit such untried methods to be used as evidence in my courtroom.
It's a big mistake to cross Helly and me. A very big mistake.
Look at Iris's face. She is so serious.
My lord, the subpoenaed witness has just arrived in the building.
Oh, that was a lot faster than I was expecting it to be.
Thank you, officer. Show him to the stand without delay.
Mr. Eggbert Benedict, aka Eggland's Best by me. I didn't expect to be crossing paths with him again so soon. And certainly not like this. I did. I fully thought Magilda would make a return to form at some point in this case. But I also expected Eggland's Best to also be here too. This really is a band of misfits.
Thank you for complying with the court subpoena at such short notice, sir.
He knew.
But of course, my lord. As an upstanding member of London society, it is my pleasure to oblige. Now, kindly state your name and occupation for the record.
Ashley Greydon, Communications Officer. Ashley Greydon? Guess he wouldn't have any reason to lie at this point. Well, now I'm going back to calling him Mad Hatter. The whole Eggbert Benedict thing is over. Mr. Greydon and I both work at London Central Communication Station.
Now perhaps somebody would kindly explain what all this is about.
No.
You're apprised of the situation by the court officer on your way here, I presume. Yes, I was. Something to do with the murder that took place at a pawnbroker's on Baker Street. And some nonsense about me having been there on the night in question. That is the accusation indeed. This really is beyond a joke, you know. Very well. Without further delay, the court will hear your testimony now, Mr. Greydon. You will respond to the accusation made against you under oath. Gladly, my lord. Gladly.
I like how everyone scooted over at some point to allow this guy to do his little introduction dance. Witness testimony. The accusation.
Naturally, I have occasion to make use of pawnbroking services from time to time, but are you seriously suggesting I colluded with these thugs to break into the place on the night of the murder? I have no intention of admitting to such an outrageous accusation, even if certain parties here present a claim that my blood was found at the scene. Some Scaramouche detectives' homebrewed tincture can hardly be taken as serious evidence.
Fair. I can't say that what he's saying isn't fair. It's very fair.
So, you deny the accusation completely, do you? I must say, I am dismayed. For the highest court in the land to be swayed by the self-professed detective's toy. It was the will of the jury, and our great British justice system demands that the jury's will is upheld. That it would seem we have the misfortune of a most inept assembly of jurors today. By golly! How long am I expected to be detained here? If following the defense's cross-examination, your involvement in this matter has not been established, you will be free to leave immediately. Good. Then I shall be away in time for afternoon tea. Some small consolation at least. Let's not hold up Mr. Greydon any longer than necessary, Consul. Proceed with the cross-examination. So, we meet again, Mr. Eggbert Benedict. Or is it Mr. Greydon? My apologies. You are... Ryunosuke Naruhodo, defense lawyer. We have met? If you say so, Ashley Greydon. Enchanté. So, Enchanté, I think it actually really is. Ah! I trust we can conclude this quickly. Ah! But I'm not holding your flashy hat while we do. He still doesn't have his hat back on, though. The accusation. Okay, naturally I have an occasion to make use of Umbra. Yes, we even met in the very pawnbrokery where the crime took place on the afternoon of the day in question. Though, of course, you introduced yourself by a different name at the time. It was Mr. Eggbert Benedict, I believe. Tell me, what made you... The witness is here to testify about events that took place that night. He is under no obligation to answer such unrelated questions. You can't be serious! Thank you, because I certainly do not feel inclined to answer such an inappropriate question. So he's going to be evasive, is he? In an effort not to give anything away. This could be tricky. Probably didn't expect us to be like the defense attorney, though. He didn't know too much outside of what he was given. But are you seriously suggesting I colluded with these thugs to break into the place on the night of the murder? Yes. Have you seen these two men before? This pair? No, I don't associate with criminals. Said by a man who introduced himself as Eggbert Benedict. I'd like to know who I have to thank for this. Who made this outlandish accusation against me? The young lawyer there in the block. This is a farce. Whose idea was it to permit an outsider to work in a British court anyway? Well, needless to say, I have no intention of admitting to such an outrageous accusation. Where were you at around 1 in the morning on the night in question, sir? That is past the hour at which I would normally retire. Certainly. I was not in the company of these rapscallions. You're able to prove that? Actually, now that I think about it, he would have been shot, right? Listen carefully, my learned Nipponese friend, for you appear to be under a gross misapprehension on the point. What do you mean? The witness maintains he was not at the scene of the crime. He has no obligation to prove his absence. If your accusation is that the witness was present at the scene, the obligation lies with you to prove your assertion. He seemed like he wasn't sure how to answer it. Darn it! You will fulfill that obligation before putting any more unreasonable questions to the witness. A silent victory wiggle? Thanks. Even if certain parties here present claim that my blood was found at the scene.
Hold it!
Blood was found at the scene of the crime. There is no question of that. Mr. Sholmes' chemical analysis has positively identified the substance as such. But I am not the only human to have blood running through my veins, am I? How can you be so sure that that blood is mine? It could equally be the blood of one of these two miscreants. Every individual's blood has a slightly different composition, it seems. Mr. Sholmes' chemical is able to differentiate different samples by... Spare me the science lesson. Who is this Sholmes character anyway? Oh, I assumed all Londoners would know the name. He's a renowned detective. So even you are unable to bring yourself to say, great detective. A great detective, you say? Tuh! Now we're in the realm of fairy tales, are we?
Uh-oh, this guy didn't like it. What's his name, Nash?
Do you have something to say about that, Mr. Skulkin?
What, me?
No, the Mr. Skulkin next to you. Right, I've headed up to here with this. How many times have I gotta tell you?
Yes, I know. You're not Big Bruv Sulky.
Mr. Nash Skulkin.
Hey, God blimey, governor. You what?
Is it not the case that when Mr. Greydon just spoke, a thought went through your mind? Would you care to share that thought with the court?
Hey, me thoughts? I don't have none of them. It must have been him.
You what?
Mr. Nash Skulkin, answer the question, please. What went through your mind when Mr. Greydon just spoke?
Nothing, honest, Gov, nothing. I was just thinking. If he waves his arm around like that much more, it'll open up the wound again, that's all.
What wound?
Where it took the bullet, of course. It was only 2 days ago. It ain't gonna be healed up yet. So I was, well, you know, I was worrying for him and... Oh, L's bells.
Ding, ding, ding. We have ourselves a winner.
Mr. Greydon, did you hear that?
What?
Your comrade is worried about you, it seems. On account of your injured arm?
My lord. Yes, Mr. Greydon. I have no idea what these two wretches are talking about. Certainly, I shouldn't be expected to answer anything in relation to their mindless insinuations. We know that someone other than the victim was hit by a bullet at the scene of the crime 2 nights ago. And from the height of the bullet hole in the wall, that person was likely hit in the upper arm or thereabouts. Perhaps you'd allow a court official to examine your arm, sir? The left arm that you're currently clasping with your right hand as if in pain? No. I refuse. You have shown no evidence whatsoever that links me to these common thieves. Accordingly, I am not obliged to permit any such invasion of my privacy.
That's fair.
As I've already said, I'm completely uninvolved in all of this. I've never had anything to do with the pawnbrokery where this fellow was killed whatsoever.
Sir. Didn't he, even in court, didn't he just earlier say that he could use pawnbrokeries as he wants? Oh boy.
I'll take offense at the insinuation that I was in any way involved. You claim you had nothing whatsoever to do with Mr. Windybank's pawnbrokery.
My lord! The defense would like that last statement to be added to Mr. Greydon's formal testimony.
Very well, Consul. Continue with your testimony, Mr. Greydon.
Why would he say that? Makes no sense.
Cool. Bottom line is, I've never had anything to do with the pawnbroking establishment where the man was killed.
I mean, the only thing we could actually present Yeah, I'm gonna say that the only thing we could possibly present is the only thing that we have that we know for sure has his DNA on it, right? Oh, I actually have 5 stars again. So this.
Objection.
Have you ever seen this disc before, Mr. Greydon? Why? Is it supposed to mean something? This disc was, until the day of his murder, in pawn at Mr. Windybank's shop.
It was redeemed by the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade, that afternoon. However, somebody mysteriously appeared to try to take it from her. And that somebody was you, of course. Wasn't it, Mr. Greydon? As I have reiterated numerous times now, you are mistaken. That was not me. I've never seen that disc before in my life. It may have escaped your notice, but there is a small smear of blood on the disc.
Ah, yes, resulting from an abrasion of the thumb, perhaps.
That's right. The surface of the disc is covered in hundreds of tiny metal bumps. In the skirmish to acquire the disc, the thumb of the person who tried to take it suffered minor lacerations. So, while the disc bears the remnants of that skirmish in the form of this smear of blood, the thumb of the person in question must bear the remnants also, in the form of a scratch.
Good gracious, indeed it must!
Mr. Greydon, you refuse to allow a court officer to examine your arm before. Are you now going to refuse to allow us to examine your thumb? Because I have no doubt that it bears a small scratch consistent with the smear of blood on this disc.
Well, well. It would seem I underestimated you.
Oh, you have no idea how far you've underestimated us.
What is the meaning of this?
Judge, he was playing you for a fiddle. So you admit it now? You admit you have a scratch on your thumb from when you attempted to take the disc from the defendant? I just like the fact that this guy... See, the thing is, he really probably could have gotten away with it if Ryunosuke wasn't Ryunosuke and we hadn't been there. Because it would have been hard to prove this stuff without knowing, right?
Order! Order! Well, Mr. Greydon.
It would appear there has been something of a misunderstanding here. I did not attempt to take the disc, as you put it. No, quite the reverse. What are you trying to say? It's really quite simple, you see. The disc was mine from the outset. Is there some crime in taking an item that you own out of pawn? What? It would seem, Mr. Greydon, that in this piece of evidence, my learned friend has established a link between yourself and the incident. Accordingly, you will tell the court everything you know about this disc now. Von Zeeks, while trying to fight for his own safety, he also was quite willing to be honest when the honesty comes out. As you wish, though I'm quite sure it has nothing whatsoever to do with the pawnbroker's murder. Well, we already know that one McGilded's name is stuck to the back of the disc. The disc. There's a note on the disc saying for McGilded, but that belongs to me. Okay, fair. It did say for McGilded. Freak. The redemption ticket was stolen from me by the accused, that filthy gutling, on the day in question. I proceeded at once to the shop in order to explain my situation, redeem my article. In the end, of course, the disc was taken by the police. In other words, I had absolutely no reason to break into the shop later that same night. But he thought there was another disc, right? So that would be a reason. Only one disc popped up, so he figured he could at least get one of two discs.
Did I hear you correctly, sir? McGilded, you say? The famous London philanthropist? Who perished in this very courtroom 2 months ago after being acquitted of a distinctly messy murder?
That McGilded? Yes, my lord. The one and the same.
Good lord! Mr. Greydon, are you saying that Mr. McGilded and yourself were acquainted?
Yes, that's correct. It's the only way he could go right now. Oh, sir, you may have just opened up a can of worms you did not want open. Let's see where this goes.
Order! Well, I certainly didn't expect to hear that name uttered here in my courtroom again.
According to what Gina told us, this disc was placed in pawn on that fateful night 2 months ago. McGilded himself gave instructions to deposit it at Windybanks.
It's funny that Mr. Greydon here is claiming the disc belongs to him then, isn't it?
In all likelihood, he's lying. So he appeared that afternoon at Windybanks in order to get his hands on McGilded's disc for some reason. So McGilded can't come out of hiding. That's just my thought process.
Consul, you recommence your cross-examination, please.
Like, McGilden might want to stay dead if he's alive.
The disc. There's a note on the disc saying for McGilded, but the item belongs to me.
I'm just gonna press everything because I have no idea. Would you care to explain how this belongs to you?
As you will observe, a communications officer such as myself commands a fine salary. You are certainly exquisitely dressed, sir. So you see, I have little need to make use of the services provided by the pawnbrokery trade. However, I did once find myself in difficulties, having misplaced my purse whilst on an errand, which is why I pawned my fine black overcoat to the broker in question.
You claim that was your overcoat?
Obviously, and in my haste, I clean forgot that the music box disc was in his pocket.
But you claim there was another one.
Yet, there is a note on it that reads for McGilded. I am a collector of rare and unusual music box music. I first met McGilded at a gentleman's club in the city, and was interested to discover that he shared my perchance in that area. So the disc in question, it's a pre-production sample. I promised to let Mr. McGilded hear it. But then you forgot that it was in the pocket of the overcoat you were forced to pawn.
Yes, exactly. Until the very last day you needed to put... Pish posh. Like, someone sent him here. Yes. Someone sent him to the pawnbrokery. That's gonna have to come up somehow.
Tina didn't mention any of that in her testimony 2 months ago, did she?
No, because McGilded had threatened her to keep her mouth shut. Which means that if we dig too deeply here, it's going to expose Gina's perjury.
Oh dear. This is complicated, isn't it?
Let's leave it alone for the time being.
The redemption ticket was stolen from me by the accused, that filthy gutterling on the day in question. I proceeded at once to the shop in order to explain my situation and redeem my article.
Hold it!
So you're saying that Miss Lestrade lifted the ticket from your pocket or bag?
That's right, despite being mindful of danger when walking in the insalubrious areas her kind frequent.
Miss Lestrade did no such thing.
Well, of course you would take that stance, but the girl is a regular offender.
You came to the pawnbrokery that day prepared with all the information you needed to identify the defendant. You were looking for her. That's what brought you to Wendy Banks. To get your hand on Mr. McGilded's disc.
Objection!
My learned friend is a veritable font of nonsense.
Nonsense?
I concur with the prosecution. Consul, you will refrain from conjecturing in this way. Is that clear?
Yes, my lord.
Then I will continue with my testimony for what possible use it can be.
Yeah, I just read that one, so I'm just gonna press it. Had you ever been to Wendy Banks before?
Only once, for the purposes of pawning something. But like many, I enjoyed browsing in such establishments. So when you noticed that the pickpocket had taken your ticket, you chased after her. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
I didn't notice at first, of course. Such is the art of the pick press. But when I did, I headed to the pawnbrokery at once, in order to reclaim my coat before the thief could.
It took you 2 months to realize this, though.
I was merely trying to recover what was rightfully mine in the first place.
He can say what he likes because he knows we have no evidence to contradict him on this. Yeah, I'm a little...
In the end, of course, the disc was taken by the police.
Yes, it was taken by Inspector Gregson here, wasn't it?
That's right. This was the very man. Apparently, the police are collecting anything that has a connection to Mr. McGilded as evidence.
Excuse me.
What do you have to say, Mr. Gregson? Please give me something to grasp onto. Give me something to cling to. I need something, guy. Is something wrong, Inspector?
What do you mean?
The last remark Mr. Greydon made in his testimony seems to have troubled you in some way.
No, it didn't. No, it's nothing. Leave it alone.
Let me ask you this, Inspector. Why is Scotland Yard gathering Mr. McGilded's possessions?
I can't tell you something like that, Sunshine.
What is it, Inspector? Investigative secrets.
Yes, exactly. You should know all about that.
Magnus McGilded, who died so unexpectedly after his trial 2 months ago, a man renowned throughout the capital for his great contributions to public life. Yet he had a dark side too.
Where are you going with this, Von Zieks?
I suppose the police are dealing with the aftermath of his nefarious activities, are they?
That's enough. Coppers like me have duties to carry out that we're not at liberty to talk about. That's all you need to know.
It is conferred by Lord Strongheart, I presume.
Yes, quite indeed. I even feel like Von Zieks is kind of tied by the word of Lord Strongheart. If Lord Strongheart turned out to be like the super top big bad, I would be a little disappointed, but not surprised. I would be disappointed because they always make like the chief, the president, anyone in super high tiered power is always the big bad, which makes sense because if you are going to be a big bad that controls a lot of different people, you're going to need money, and who has money? People at the top. So it makes sense. It's just I will be very disappointed, not surprised.
The Lord Chief Justice appears to have great faith in you, Inspector.
The bottom line is, if you want to get more out of me, you're gonna need Lord Strongheart's paw print first.
Paw print. Reminds me of Blue's Clues. What's all this about? It's like there's something going on between Gregson and Lord Von Zieks here. I feel like Lord Von Zieks is tethered to Lord Strongheart, which is why he keeps appearing in court during these kind of cases.
Well, it would appear that the inspector has revealed all he is at liberty to reveal. Mr. Greydon, let us return to your testimony.
Gladly, my lord. In other words, I had absolutely no reason to break into the shop later that same night.
Let me just press this last one real quick. But perhaps you'd seen something of value among the forfeited items?
No, not at all.
Oh?
A valuer was brought in by the police to assess everything in the shop. Without exception, every article on the shelves was common or garden bric-a-brac.
In that case, it's clear
that you broke into the shop later that day in order to recover Mr. McGilded's disc. Have you not been listening, man? The other one. Even if I had wanted to recover the disc, you may recall that it had been seized by the police that afternoon.
There was no more in the shop that night than I. As I keep saying, I simply had no reason to break in. So there was nothing of Mr. McGilded's left in the shop that night. Nothing this man might have been after. I wonder if that's really true. Check the court record for like 2 seconds. Okay, it's these tickets, right? One small box. Right? So this is what we're gonna have to present.
Bruno, if you have some evidence, then let him have it. I'm dying to see that irritatingly assured expression of his credible.
I am too. McGilded slipped the disc into his coat pocket and had it deposited at Windybanks. Then, when he realized he was going to be arrested on suspicion of the omnibus murder, he threatened Gina and forced her to take the redemption ticket.
There's no doubt about it. That witness is lying through his pearly white teeth.
The police were obviously after anything left behind by McGilded as well. That's why Inspector Gregson ended up taking the disc into custody that day.
But Gregson is being very strange about all this.
There must be a reason for that, I'm sure. I just don't know what it is. And with that, my learned friends, we are going to conclude this episode of our trial. So yeah, it's obvious that little Ashley Gregson has a lot to do with a lot of things, but he's not the big bad. He can't be because someone led him to the pawnbrokery in the first place. And so he's obviously being manipulated too. So it's just all levels, you know? And I'm just thinking about, I want to say that it has to be McGilded himself. Maybe. Like, I mean, he could obviously be dead. It all adds up to him being dead. And that's why everything was expiring and yada yada. But if he wanted to appear dead, then it's all kind of falling in line that he would have to stay dead for a little while longer, for whatever reason that might be. So I don't know officially yet which way I lean on the McGilded side of the coin, if I fully think he's alive or if I just accept that he's dead officially. But I do know, obviously we all know, that Ashley is probably tied up to something. I don't know what fully. But anyways, we're gonna see if we can try to, I guess, pin the tail on him for killing Mr. Windybanks. But until that time comes, I hope you all have a great and wonderful day. And thanks so much, so much for watching and sticking with me through it all. You guys have a good one. Bye.